Oh, welcome to my first floss tube video. This is actually the second time I'm doing it because I had made it Thursday. This is Sunday, the 2nd of April. And Thursday I had made this video, the first version, and then I tried to get it converted into a format that YouTube would accept, and my computer kept crashing all of Friday. Penny Bryn Stitches, who is a relative newcomer on FlossTube, is also on Ravelry, where I also am. We are both in the Counted Cross Stitch group, and she had a very simple, ingenious suggestion, which was basically, could I actually film in a different format than what my camera was doing automatically? And lo and behold, I found where I could change the format, and I have just done a small trial and was able to get something up on YouTube. So, yay! Yep, okay, so I have to do this again, but so what? I have now found the magic of getting my camera and YouTube to communicate. Yes. So, hello, this is my first FlossTube video. This is my first video face on camera. I have done a few videos previously related to the planner community, but they were just the ones where all you see is my hands. So, but all of the people I have watched so far making their first FlossTube videos have said they feel weird and uncomfortable and all of that. But hey, you guys have all been able to do this. You've gone on to make more, so presumably I can deal with this. One thing I noticed in the first version, I had 2 wisdom teeth removed at the end of February, and I still have some discomfort, and sometimes I do these weird twitches with my mouth. Sorry about that, but I am hoping that as the healing is completed, then that will stop. So, I am going to start with a few finished, almost finished objects. About a week ago I finished this little guy. I had started him in December. I was working on something called December Daily, which is a scrapbook project life thing where you basically do a page, a layout, a story every day. And I had decided I wanted some cross stitch in my album, and I started on this guy. Didn't finish him then, but he can go in my album now. And he is one of the many freebie kits that come with cross stitch magazines, and I had found this pile which I was considering for my album. It's a Margaret Sherry, and normally I don't mind backstitching, but this guy was a pig. to backstitch. The Aida is not a very nice one, very stiff, so there were some interesting words being said. Then I have some of the very first finished objects that I've ever made, because I have a question. I'm going to show them to you, and they were meant to be doilies, but as you can see, they never got hemmed. It was just the cross stitching. The reason is that I basically have to get my mum to sit down and show me how to hem them, and that's easier said than done. And then while I was doing this in the previous run, I discovered that this actually isn't quite a finished object, so I'll have to get those ends taken care of. But I watched Ronna Pfeiffer's tutorial on how to make project envelopes, and my mind immediately went to these, because I started thinking, what if I don't make them into doilies but use them as a decoration on the front flap of the envelope? And I was wondering if any of you had any thoughts about whether or not that would be an idea worth pursuing, because while I definitely can do with more doilies, it might be nice to have something that have a set that actually belong together, rather than this rather motley crew of whatever I made. These doilies have been made when I was 10, 11, 12, thereabouts. That is what's going to be the finished objects for this episode. On to current whips, active whips. I started watching FlossTube videos maybe a month ago, while I was recovering from all the nastiness with the teeth, and it got me inspired. I have been cross-stitching on and off in periods most of my life, and you guys managed to awaken the stitchy bug in me again, and I got out most of my stash. Currently it's lying in on the crafting area floor. Very well, I'm trying to organize it, and that was because I remembered that I had a while ago gotten this kit. It's a Dimensions kit, and I really wanted to start on this. So I've been working on it now for a couple of weeks, and this is what I've managed so far, and I have been really enjoying it. There are a number of things that will make my ears perk and catch my attention. If it's got animals in it, I mean, it can just be one or two, but the more the merrier. Then you have definitely succeeded in getting me to take a second look. If there is sort of a winter or a Christmas theme going on, it's another thing that will grab my attention. So, well, yeah, okay. You get an idea of why I had to have this. So that is one of my active projects. Then I have something which goes a long, long way back. I think I bought this kit when I was 11. I don't have a picture of it other than this that I've managed to find on the net. It is an old Eva Rosenstand embroidery with these 4 toucans. And the version that's here is made with regular cotton floss, but the version that the pack that I had found was made with wool. And both my mum and my gran did lots of cross stitching, and they were with me in the shop, and they were a bit sort of wary about whether or not I could cope with the wool. But I was adamant I wanted to make that picture. And I had started working on it and I had made great progress. I had all of this beak here, and I'd say most of the head and bits here, and then I had started working up on this guy and done a bit here. And then something was off. And it turned out that here, this part of the wing, there are 2 long rows of the same color. And what I had done was I had started working on the lower one, and then I had continued as though it was the higher one, which meant there were 2 whole rows that were gone, missing. So there was a great deal of ripping out. And I think I was 12 when that happened. And that was more than my 12-year-old self could cope with. So it got kicked into the naughty pile, and it stayed there. And I can think about it every now and then. My mum or my gran would mention it every now and then. Excuse me. My gran even promised me that she would get me whatever kit I wanted once I got it finished. And I knew exactly which kit that was going to be, but I wasn't touching it. So this was, should I say 83, maybe 84. A couple of years ago, I started toying with the idea of working on it again, because it was not going to win over me. I didn't mention this to anyone. My gran is long gone. My mum hadn't mentioned the toucans for a long time. But I started talking. I have a friend who is very crafty as well, does all sorts of things, and we visit each other. We live in different parts of the country, so it's always a visit of several days at least. And I started talking about picking it up to her, and she said, well, next time you come visit, bring it along, because I had also told her I didn't want my parents to know about this. So in the beginning of 2015 I went over to visit her. This is what it looked like back then, and that's a toothbrush for size comparison. And she suggested something that she never does, and I hadn't until then, and that was gridding. Tedious, but I could see the sense in it. So I started gridding it. I was trembling. Just the mere watching it, holding it, that was sort of getting me all giddy. So that was about 2 years ago. And so far I have managed to get it to look like this. So I am now over halfway done. I think I'm getting to 2/3 done on this. I did tell my parents about a week ago, because I've only been able to work on this when I'm visiting my friend, or being absolutely certain my parents weren't coming, they wouldn't turn up suddenly out of the blue, and I would have to rush and try and hide all the traces of it. So not quite the same effect as being able to show them the fully finished piece, but Mum was impressed that I had picked it up and got this far. So this is me and my inner 12-year-old who are trying to lay a... It sounds a bit exaggerated calling this a traumatic experience, but there has been a bit of it. There are some... the tricky thing about wool is it wears very easily when you're pulling it through. And when I started this, we hadn't heard of the loop method. But when I picked it up in 15, I started using the loop method, which has greatly helped on how much wear and tear each strand gets. Because I don't know if you can see that some of the coverage isn't too great in some of the areas. There's also a bit here in the green. And also those are the 11-12-year-old stitches. stitches made by an 11-12-year-old who might have tugged a bit harder. I am a bit wary about running out of some of the colours, but when I get it all done, there are some areas where if I still have the correct colour wool, sorry, camera cut off because it was overheating. I had finished talking about the toucans, which is the second of my active whips at the moment. Then I have a third whip, which I only started yesterday. I have been intrigued by those heaven and earth designs and the whole concept of full coverage pieces. This was something I had learned about 5-6 years ago, something like that. We had a friend living in America who was going to come visit us, and she had told us that we could order things, have them delivered to her, and then she would schlep them over when she came to visit. And one of the things that I had ordered was a pattern for a picture, this one, by Mystic Stitch. And this was a major disappointment when it came, because we had assumed that all of this background colour here, that was just the colour of the linen, and that it was the cranes and the tree that were embroidered on. So when I got the pattern and had a look at it and realized that no, actually all of this is also stitched, and that there was no way I could figure out how to remove the background and just stitch the image. This got chucked in the naughty pile. And which is a shame, because I like the image. Then learning about heaven and earth designs, realizing there was this thing as full coverage pieces. Well, okay, you get used to the idea. I actually have a weird thing going on. I can't get on the Heaven and Earth Designs webpage at home on my own computer. Don't ask me why. I can't. I've tried all sorts of things. If you think you might know why, it keeps timing out or telling me that it can't access the server. And I have no problems whatsoever with any other website. And when I go to my mother's and log on from her computer, I can get onto the Heaven and Earth Designs webpage, no problem. I have been able to look at some of their designs on other websites, such as So and So and 123 Stitch and stuff. And there's a small handful of pictures I might be tempted by. but considering what I already have and the amount of work, the amount of floss, there's no real point in getting a pattern, all the materials, if it turns out that I actually don't like the look of the thing. And then I remembered this. I thought, well, okay, I have the pattern. I was able to find a piece of Aida in one of my kits, which was a picture that I wouldn't want to stitch on Aida. I want that to be on linen. And they have the sizes for 14, 18 and 22 count, and I was looking for an 18 count fabric. This piece was 16 count, but it was like, okay, I have it. We had most of the floss, and then it was like, okay, this is a relatively easy, cheap way of figuring out, is this something I actually might want to continue. So we went to so-and-so and got the last floss that we didn't have. There is the bizarre thing with this. Let's see if we can figure out how to get into this bag. Most of these colors are actually not my thing. And I'm sort of, how the blazes does this collection of blah make it into something like, ooh, that's gorgeous. So I started yesterday. That is how far I got so far. This piece is also going to be different in that I am starting from a corner. I have always started pieces from the middle of the pattern. This is rather weird because most of what I've stitched is just one color, which isn't really perhaps something I'd say was a nice color, but it's okay. It's an experiment. It's broadening my horizons. Now, ordering from the UK to Denmark, while you have an order placed, you might as well make the shipping costs do a little work for you. So we did actually order some things that weren't just the required flosses I needed for this picture. So my mum got various threads and flosses, and then I got a few things that I had been looking at. I got the chart for this. It's a Sue Hillis design, which has it makes me giggle every time I see it, frankly. I love this guy. Yes, I love Christmas. Which you're going to see more of here. I have done, back when our friend was coming from the US, one of the things we'd ordered was the 3 Mill Hill medieval Santas, which have been stitched up. I had lots of fun, and I have been eyeing most of the other Santas. And well, okay, we were ordering stuff, so I got, trying not to get the glare, I got the new Renaissance Santas. We have been sort of discussing a bit why there was no Milan Santa. But that's because we used to live in Milan. But these are fine. And then I discovered that there was the set of the 3 Wise Men, and had to order those as well. Friday was the day I spent the whole day trying to get my previous recording converted into a format that YouTube would accept, and the computer kept crashing, and I was getting angry, and I was really wanting to start on the 2 cranes, but no, that has to wait till the 1st. And then, okay, so I opened up this guy, and this is what I got done on him Friday. And have been enjoying working on him, and I am enjoying all the bling in the kits. Like I said, anything Christmassy that gets my attention. I am basically a Christmas loon. I love Christmas, and for a number of reasons, Christmas is something which helps me cope with various situations. And I had sorted out some of these small freebie patterns, kits from the magazines, and I found loads more from my stash. My mum also has in her stash, so I'll probably be getting a few more. I did actually discover I had one of the Mill Hill Santa's outfits mittens, and I had something called a Holiday Silk Angel, and we had 2 Santa heads, and my new purchases are going in the same small bin, and I'm going to allow myself throughout the year, maybe not quite once a week, but maybe a bit more often than just every fortnight, something in between. I'm going to allow myself a new start on one of these small Christmas kits. I'm going to have fun. And this will give me, I hope, the joy of having a new start without adding to my considerable number of whips and UFOs. So that's 1, 2, 3, 4 whips. I am going to make the Yo Ho 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 Santa this year, but I will begin on him when I finish the nativity scene. I think this is all that I'm going to do, show you, tell you about for now. I have been considering maybe doing an episode every 3rd week, on the basis that once a month seems rather far in between, and every fortnight seems a bit too often. So between 2 and 4 weeks you have 3 weeks. I might be doing them more, have less time between them here in the beginning, because there's all these things like the different tags and such, and I was wondering if maybe I should also show all my other whips, which I have started digging out from my stash, and I have 2 whips that I know of, which I just can't find at the moment. And I do have other plans for this year, but we shall see. I need to get some of these technical issues dealt with, and I think my camera is now warning me it's overheating again, so I'm going to make this a very short, brief exit and say thank you for spending your time with me, and feel free to come with suggestions and comments how I can make this better, and hopefully see you next time around. Bye.